edition. Let's get into it. Alright, had some technical difficulties getting this one set up, but I think we're good to go now. I will get this shared around, and then we'll get rambling. Get this locked down a little better. I don't like how my tripod is working these days. I gotta get a new one. Do that. There, that's better. That's better. We'll take it. Okay, what do we got? Boom, shaka, laka, 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 laka. Is that the right? Wow! What is up, Clayton? Get this. Oh, chat. There we go. Bam, blam, blam, blam. I am just getting everything set up here to share this with everyone. Hey, Real CJ, how are you doing? Let's see it. You want to see the completely unhingedness? You will see it. We will be getting very unhinged. Let's see. I am okay-ish. This is doing all right. I have got some nurgleness going on here, so apologies for any yeah. Okay. Hey, James Laws. Wow. We are getting everything shared out here on the Discord and whatnot, so that everyone's got a chance to join up. Because it's because right now I'm still in normal mode. When I get unhinged mode, that's when we're doing this. It will get very unhinged very quickly. Let's see, where are we at? There we are. Move that all the way over here. And then, holy cow, what is going on here? Why is this so? Working on it, guys. Working on it here. Hey, Hoovy Bear, how are you? Calvin, still awake on the East Coast? Yeah, I'm trying to do these a little earlier because guys like you that are saying that, you know, starting too late and going too late is a little hard to do. So I thought I'd maybe start earlier and end earlier, kind of give everybody more of an equal opportunity to get in here. And apologies for the delay. You guys know how this goes. I got a delay here a little bit at the beginning to get the notifications out to everybody, get everybody a chance to get on board the stream before we really get into it. And today's is spicy. Hey, Leo, how are you? So the whole reason why we're doing this completely unhinged predictions is Chapter Master Valrak is doing his Orc Rumors video tomorrow, and it'll be very interesting to see what the actual things are. But I have my own whisperings from Gork and Mork, and by whisperings I mean it's the voices inside my own head. Yeah, just so we're clear, when I say unhinged predictions, I mean unhinged predictions. I don't know anybody at GW. I don't have any sources. None of this is official. There is probably a 0% chance of any of this stuff happening. If you want to take it at that level. This is what I think is going to happen based on being in the hobby so long and being through so many editions and seeing what they did to other armies and putting it all together into like what the most likely scenario is. But then yeah, also kind of going a little unhinged with it. Yeah, I saw that. He did say a new runt herder already, which I mean, come on. How would you not get a new runt herder? Our current runt herder is how old? I gotta take a look. Where did this kit come out? This kit is from... Well, this particular box is 2018, but that doesn't tell you anything because it's been reboxed so many times. What you got to do is you pull out the sprue and you look for the copyright on the sprue. Okay, that sprue doesn't have the copyright on it, so it should be on this one. Well, that's weird. This one doesn't have a copyright. I can't say I've ever seen that before. We got a production number and no copyright. But yeah, I mean, this thing is old. I mean, you can tell that it's back when they hand sculpted. It is pre, CAD designed. But yeah, I wish it had a better thingy on it. Usually their sprues have a copyright date in them. Yeah, and see the booklet's 2018 too. CJ's Storm Boys are the oldest, and they are 17 years old this year. Oldest technically. Actually, if you look at the Old Boys kit, 2/3 of the kit is from 1998. Which we can prove. So for those of you that don't know, the Old Boys kit, this part is super duper old. These used to get 16 of them in the box. Then they changed it to 11. You got 2 of these and 1 of these. Hey, we got a gry.
I'm not wearing a moose, but I am wearing a coat shirt. Moose Potato channel. Bye, God. Night, guys.
Good night. So yeah, this is the sprue that was added later. So when you see that like Old Boys are from 2011 or whatever, that's just this sprue that has the knob body on it and stuff. This sprue is much older than that. This sprue right here can drink. Once again, I don't think this particular one has a... Oh, 2007. So 2007 is when they redid it to add this on. Okay? That's the redo. Again, this actual part right here is more like 98 or 99. And then almost a decade later, they added that on. And you can still buy it today. So obviously, they're replacing this kit. All right. Let's get caught up on the chat here, and then let's get into it. This one's going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun. Oh, we got a lot of people on. This is good. Share with your friends. Get everybody here. Let's throw a goal up here. Let's do that. Let's do that. Bam. Okay. Got that going. All right. What do we got here? So, all right, everybody, catching you up. We are doing a kind of unhinged review. Hold on. Again, I've got some sort of nerdle rot going on. So if I like randomly almost die or, explode or something, I'm going to defeat him. Anyways, okay, but the reason why we're doing this is tomorrow, Chapter Master Valric is supposed to drop his video on the actual predictions for Warhammer 40k 11th edition launch box and what orcs are going to get. He already did his Space Marine one. It was over a half an hour long, and it wasn't just the launch box. He talked about like all the different Space Marine chapters and what they're going to get and stuff, which is really, really cool. Again, as orky as we are, I love everything 40k, and I have tons of armies, right? We've talked about this. I've got orcs, I've got Space Marines, I've got Imperial Guard, I've got Imperial Agents, I've got Lost in the Damned, I've got Craft World Eldari. A few others have come and gone through the ages here, and then the Grots, like the one you just saw. Favorite Grot, he's got Tau and Kroot, and then Best Grot's got Ultramarines and Death Guard. And yeah, there's armies everywhere. We like them all. So yeah, it was really cool to see all the Space Marine stuff. But so what I've done is, it's kind of like this pseudo process of elimination slash predictions that kind of make sense. So what I've done is, again, being an old graybeard, having been around since second edition, seen very, very, very many editions come and go. In fact, all of them pretty much. And seeing what the other Xenos armies have gotten in their big refreshes, and seeing what is missing from the orcs currently, kind of putting together everything I think that's going to happen. But again, I don't know anybody. I don't know any rumor sources. Ain't none of this official. This is just everything bouncing around in here. But again, it is taken with like evidence and experience. It's not as unhinged as I'm thumbnailing it out to be. But yeah, slightly unhinged. We will see. We will see. Let's see. Catch me up on predictions so far. Kane, you haven't missed any predictions yet. We haven't started yet. We were getting everybody onto the stream before we got into it. Commander 5643, that just tells you how old it is. The fact that it doesn't have a date on it, yes, this is true. If it is predating a trademark on the sprue, yeah, it's oof. Okay, let's see. Nothing wrong with the old boys kit if it ain't broke. I mean, Kirk, I agree. There's nothing wrong with the old boys kit. I love me an old boys kit. I've got 120 boys in my army and another paper box full of boys in there with probably another 200 in it, as I've shown you guys before on the live streams. You can never have enough boy kits laying around. But yeah, let's see. Tactical Marine sprue that is actually from like 2004. Yep, I could see that. Hey, Waylon, you've got the Speed Freaks box right there. I love that box. That box is like single-handedly responsible for getting me back into 40k this deep. Like I always kind of kept my hands on a couple of models and stuff and like kind of read some things, but I was out of the hobby until that box came out. So that box will always have a special place in my heart. Don't forget the Shudas were separate from the arms originally. Yes, in fact, if you want to build the Shuda kit, or yeah, the Shuda arms are separate, but then also the Ludas. The Luda kit was made at the same time as the boys kit redo in 2007, and that's why the Luda's the one arm for one of the weapons is in the old boys kit. All right, hey Keith. All right, you're gonna hang up for a bit. All right, should have taken the ungellared warp trip. Hey, it's not my fault that demons exist in the warp. I was there. All right, they need to move out of the way. Because what I did is I put some orky spores up in there, and now there's orcs running around in the warp, and they're all going, what the heck's going on here? We were just trying to spread some Nurgle rot, and that'll teach you to mess with old Big Mac. Defloofs and ashes, brave the cold weather, run to the gas station for snacks and drinks. Well, run and come back, and we'll catch you up. You can always move the live stream back and catch up, whatever. All right. So, let's start off with Calvin. Hey, Assault Defender. Thanks for joining us. All right. So, yes, Calvin is correct. We are getting a new Runt Herder. So that is from Chapter Master Valrak himself. For those of you that don't know who he is, he's this really crazy British bloke. I love him to death. He's hilarious. He's got a massive channel, one of the biggest Warhammer channels on all of YouTube. And he's awesome because his channel's really unique. He only does, like, lore and rumors and hype. And that's it. He barely plays the game, like me. He barely paints, like me. And he doesn't, like, I don't know. He's in it for the models. He's in it for how cool it is. And I super respect that. But even though he's a gigantic Space Marine knob, orcs are his second favorite, and he has been hyped about 11th edition. Now, he makes predictions all the time, but his predictions are like 99.9%. I mean, this dude's hit rate is insane. He is the one that called it, what was it, like 2.5 years ago, when we were getting the Battle Force box with the new Big Mech in it that had the Truck Boys and the Stampa. Like, he had that box down to the mini. It was wild. So yeah, his predictions are on point. He has said over and over again, 11th edition coming this summer. It's called Armageddon. It features Space Marines versus Orcs. I take all of that to be absolute fact. If any of that doesn't happen, I will eat this hat on the live stream. It's going to happen. Secondly, he has kind of made some predictions here and there so that he's seen some models or something like that. I don't know where he gets his stuff from, but obviously he's in the UK. He's close to Games Workshop because he's been able to go to the headquarters a few times. But he must know people that are like in production or something like that because he gets some good looks at things. But what he's saying is there's going to be some new boys. There's going to be some new characters, one of which is the Runt Herd. And there's going to be some sort of a walker with a turret for the head. He's not real sure what it is, but it's some sort of a walking unit with artillery, which is wild, because that would be totally unlike anything we've ever had before, and would be, honestly, very, like, wanted. I mean, we're all screaming for a tank, right? Like, I don't care if the tank walks or has treads. Walking's kind of cool. Are we going to get, like, a mechanical squig-off? I would totally rock a mecha squig-off. Like, that sounds rad, right? Like, so these are cool. So that's what we've got in Serious Land. There are also other serious things that you can predict from there, right? If we're getting a new Runt Herd, obviously we're getting new Grots. Right? I just showed you the Grot box. The Grots and the Runt Herd come together, and they're not going to replace the Runt if they're not going to replace the Grots. So we're clearly getting new Grots. I predict that they will actually be on separate sprues. The Runt Herd's going to be by himself, and the Grots are going to be by themselves, because eventually Grots are going to get their own army. That is my... Hold on. I'll get my crazy pants. Grots are going to be a standalone army at some point in 11th edition. That is my unhingedest thing. I really do believe. If you look at what they've been doing for sub-factions for all of the other armies and the way that they have made a couple of new units to break things out, like looking at the Red Corsairs that just got launched, they added, 3-4 kits to a bunch of kits that are already in the Chaos Space Marines line, and then kapow, you've got a whole new lineup. So, if we're already getting new Grots in 11th edition, we got Killicans, right? You give us a Grot character, it only takes a couple of things, like, I don't know, maybe some Grot tanks, and you've got yourself an army going, which would be super wanted and super rad. Especially if they do things like way back in the day, like back in this kind of day, we used to have things called Diganobs. And Diganobs were humans, especially Ogrins, who decided that they were orcs. And the orcs just kept them around because they actually kind of worked and they were cool. And so having that back would be really cool. Die, Nurgling. I got it. That's it. Isn't it an open secret that Valrak is a secret employee of GW? You know, I will admit I have kind of thought about that. Here's the thing, right? People say that he has broken GW leaks a bunch of times, and they point to like Dante. Dante wasn't him. Dante was Games Workshop themselves. Somebody ordered Dante from the web store, and they sent him the new Dante. And instead of him doing anything about it with the GW, this legend, this absolute legend of a guy, built and painted Dante and then posted the photos of his finished work, which was just chef's kiss. That was so good. So good. That was 100% Games Workshop. Magnus, Ben Magnus. Everybody blames him for Ben Magnus. That wasn't him either. That was somebody that worked for the trash company in Nottingham, saw the boxes in the bin, took a picture of it, and put it on the internet. Like, just because he read the story about it online doesn't mean that he's the one that did the leak. He doesn't work for the garbage service, or at least doesn't anymore. Maybe he did back then. I don't know. But yeah, so there's been quite a few things that have broken that Games Workshop has leaked. But the reason why I don't think he's an actual employee is if you ever watch his live streams, he will get on the GW website and then pull up the coding and find like JPEGs and things that are like on the site but not actually like linked to anything. And that's how he's found a ton of stuff. This guy is actually really, really good at sleuthing too. So I don't think he's an employee. I don't think he's a plant. I think he's just really, really good at what he does. I do think he's got some friends that work there though, and I'll put it this way. I totally can buy that Games Workshop knows who's leaking him stuff, and they're probably like turning on that tap on purpose. Because I mean, let's be honest, his hype is definitely helping Warhammer grow and helping sales. So if they're like, oh, okay, let's let this guy know about this thing, and it will like, zoom up because all the things that he actually leaks aren't things that are like that crazy and big. It's been the things that other people have leaked and broken that have been like super duper huge, where they've had to, like the pictures of the box sets in somebody's trunk, right? And then they had to like go and reveal all the stuff in the box set because somebody had one that they weren't supposed to have, right? And that's not him. He's never done anything like that. So yeah, I think he's being fed info, but he doesn't actually directly work for them. All right, getting back to this stuff. What do we got here? James for the revolution. Yeah, Grot Rebels are totally. They're gonna get a detachment. I will absolutely. Grots are getting a detachment in 11th edition. I am telling you, Grots are going to be their own army. We are going to have an actual playable Grot character, at least one, to be your HQ. We're getting all new Grots that allow us to have bigger units of Grots and maybe like elite Grots or something like that. I don't know. Killicans are going to get an update. They're not changing Killicans. What they're going to do is they are going to do it Kill Team style, and they're going to add a sprue into the existing Killican box so that you can run all the weapon options on all three. And then I think we might get Grot tanks back or something of that sort where it's Grots operating something bigger than a Killican or more killy than a Killican. But yeah, we are getting Grots as a detachment, as a little mini sub-faction army. That's my unhingedness. All right, back to this. I think they are going back to sub-faction rules for CSM. Yeah, they are. So GW is definitely going back to sub-factions. It makes money. It prints money, honestly. Because here's the thing. You make Chaos Space Marines the model range, right? And you put out all the models, and you say you can play with any of the models. People are only going to buy mostly what is good in the game, and some people are going to buy what is cool to put on the shelf. And everything else is going to sit. Okay? So then they go, okay, well, what do we do? What do we do? Let's make a sub-faction of Chaos Space Marines that maybe uses all the fast attack stuff. And now that will sell the things that don't sell the most of, because in that detachment, in that sub-faction, it works better. So if they got to make a couple of kits to make the other 10 kits sell, that's a good investment. That's a great investment. Imperial Guard used to be like that way back in the day. All of the tanks were a single kit, right? Like they made the Lehman Russ, and then like the add-on, weapons and stuff, they were add-ons. They were metal back in the day, right? And then the Chimera was its own thing, and then like literally even the Hellhound was metal parts that you added to it. But then they came out with different regiments, like one squad at a time. They didn't redo the tanks for any of those regiments. They didn't redo the Sentinel for any of those regiments. They didn't redo characters. They would maybe make one or two characters for each regiment, and that was it. But each one of those regiments created a sales boost, because now you've got people that are like, oh, I'm not really into Imperial Guard, and then they see Talon Desert Raiders and they're like, ooh, okay, and then they buy it. And then you got somebody that's still sitting there going, nope, still not doing it. And then they show them already in Iron Warriors, and they're like, oh, okay, I don't know. A bunch of guys running around in the dress blues is actually kind of cool, right? And they get more people to come into the fold. That same kind of thing is now happening again. All right, we've seen it happen now with Chaos Space Marines, with the Red Corsairs and stuff. We've seen it happen with Eldar, getting their Corsairs. We're not going to talk about Yunari. But you know what I mean? Like, they're getting more of these little sub-faction ranges in. Even Tau with, like, Crew. Crew have exploded into almost their whole own range. You can run an all-crew army. You wouldn't want to, but you can. I think this is going to be the same kind of thing. Grots are going to be a playable army on their own. They're going to get one, maybe two detachments. They're not going to get like their own standalone codex or anything, but they're going to have a couple of characters that might only be usable for them. You're going to get a couple of new units, but all of that combined is going to give you the ability to play an entire Grot army. That's what I'm saying. Real CJ thinks that not just Grots, but we're also going to get Snake Bites get a unique detachment. I don't know about Snake Bites. There's been quite a bit of backlash about Beast Snagas, even though they're the least snake bitey thing out there because they're so cyborgy. And then Cruel Boys for Age of Sigmar did not sell at all. Like nothing. So I think Games Workshop has gotten a little trigger shy on feral orcs and old school orcs in that style. I mean, you could see even on the Age of Sigmar side, all of the new orcs that have come out since the Cruel Boys have been more and more like big and buff and armored, and they all sell like hotcakes. So they know what we want. We want big, we want buff, we want all the armor, we want all the DACA, we want all the choppa. We don't want furs and skins. We don't want feral guys and bows and arrows. We want great big giant axes, right? So I think snake bites are kind of done. But yes, Grot tanks and Digonobs. We are getting Grot tanks and Digonobs in 11th edition. Grot tanks were one of the best-selling Forge World units out there. And then the whole like explosion of people doing their own homemade Grot tanks over the last few years, which we are partially responsible for, let's be honest, definitely has shown their potential out there. But even like you go play Tacticus, right? Tacticus has Grot tanks in it. You guys know Games Workshop doesn't let their video game makers have units in the video game that don't exist on the tabletop. So if there's a Grot tank in Tacticus, you could bet one of your teeth where you're getting a Grot tank in actual 40k. And it's going to match the Tacticus tank. That's how they do things. Let's see. Defloofs and Nashes still uses Ogre units in your Orc army, very much like Digonobs. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, Ogrins... I loved Ogrins in Orc armies. I thought the lore behind that was fantastic, right? You get these big giant humans that are the size of orcs, right? But they're kind of dumb. And they walk around like, oh, okay, we'll follow you, boss. And they think they're following, I don't even know. But like, especially when like Blood Axes use them and stuff, I just love Digonobs. Digonobs are so stinking cool. So yeah, I could totally see us getting rules for them again and just using the, the current, Ogren kit. Take it for orcs as a Digonob would be cool. Informants for sure. Yeah, definitely informants. All right, World Eaters Cultists with the smallest amount of kit bashing, a sloppy layer of green paint would be perfect Digonobs. Oh yeah, McFadden, that is an excellent idea for some kit bashing. Yeah, the Cultists, in case you guys don't know, all the Chaos armies just about have gotten their own standalone cultists, and World Eaters have gotten some really amazing ones. I mean, these dudes are ripped. They're shredded. They would be super cool. Lefty says, imagine a new buggy. All right, let's get weird. We're going to get a war buggy that is generic. Hear me out. Those of you old timers know, back in the Gorka Morka days, there used to be the war bike, the war track, the war truck, and the war buggy. The buggy went in between the track and the truck. And the war buggy, you had the basic kit, and then you could change out the little weapon on top with the little gunner guy. And a lot of our modern buggies that we have, like the Custom Booster Blasta, and honestly, even the Boomdack Snazwagon, are pretty much based on that buggy, right? But they're too big, and they're too, specialized, right? They're not multi-part, like, the one build is all you got. I don't think they're going anywhere. We're not losing any of our current buggies. What I think they're going to do is come out with a much smaller vehicle called the War Buggy. We're probably going to be able to run them in squads, maybe 2 or 3 in a unit. And that war buggy is going to look like the old one and function more like the old one. It's going to go fast. It's not going to have a terribly large amount of DACA, but it's going to be able to support the war bikers really well and the trucks really well. We might even get them in the launch box. So yes, new buggy. Think about it. Real CJ, Nightbringer, Satan, Panic Move. Oh yeah, okay. But again, Valrak did not leak the Nightbringer. The Nightbringer was all over the internet before he ever did his video. And yes, Games Workshop was rightfully pissed about that one. That sucked, honestly. That is one of those leaks that I hate. Because yeah, that was supposed to be like the Christmas reveal or something, man. That would have been like mind-blowingly cool to get in the live stream or in the reveal show or on Christmas Day, and that got taken away from us with some crappy picture that somebody had from a codex being printed in China or something like that. It sucked. But yeah, that one was not Valrak. He did not bust that. It was already all over the internet. But yeah, that one was a supplier issue. That is a supplier issue, 1000%. Let's see. RCG says only for Chaos Undivided and Renegade Warbands, I think. They just released codexes for Data Chaos Legions. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. You're saying about subfactions. Yeah. When we say subfactions, I don't necessarily mean that they're all getting their own codices, right? We're not going to get Codex Red Corsairs and Codex Undivided and Codex Lost in the Damned. With this new detachment system they have out, they can literally print it in White Dwarf and throw up a free PDF, and you have a subfaction, right? Like, you are still buying the regular Codex Space Marines or whatever, but if they decide to do, oh, here's the Raptors, all they got to do is print a detachment. That you don't need to do a whole codex anymore, and you can still theme it to what the army is. That's what I'm saying. Like, now that they've finally gotten a handle on this whole detachment thing, you're gonna see more and more and more of these subfactions come out. But they're not getting their own codex. They're not invalidating any other rules. They're just going, man, this is an easy way to print money. We don't have to make a book. We don't have to print anything crazy like that. We don't have to make a whole new product line. We're taking something that already exists in the lore and even on the tabletop and going, okay, well, if we take these 7 or 8 kits from this range and we make one kit of a squad and 1 or 2 characters, now we have a whole new range. And by the way, here's the free PDF rules, and we're going to print it in the White Dwarf and stuff too. And like, now you've got a subfaction. And depending on how the sales go on that subfaction, they can come back to it, right? And add to it later on and be like, oh, hey, like, we're going to throw another character at you, or we're going to throw like an elite unit out or something like that, or even just an upgrade sprue. I mean, look at all the upgrade sprue boxes they're doing these days. Like, even Ultramarines got this upgrade box thingy, and it was actually good, right? It had like all those heads in it and shoulder pads, and then like the not the special, but you guys know what I'm saying, the war gear things, right? The Black Templar ones was like that too. You could get the Black Templar upgrade sprue has the weapons that are the, you know, the epic things that you can pay extra points for, which is really cool. So yeah, I mean, they don't have to do a lot to make a new subfaction anymore, and that's why I think they're gonna like keep building on it and growing on it, because it just prints money. It just sells more models. I mean, Demons is an excellent example. Now again, Demons I kind of feel like need their whole own codex at some point, but they could easily make a bunch of Demons detachments for the different gods, or do a Demons Undivided detachment. They don't even have to like make any new models or print a whole rule book. Like I said, they could just release the data sheets, release the detachment rules as a free PDF, and they're done. And people are going to go, sweet, and then they're going to go down to their GW store and they're going to buy it. And that's the cool thing. All right, let's see. Where are we at? Oh, Keith had to sign off. Oh, I'm sorry. He had to sign off, buddy. We'll catch you up when you come back, when you awake. Andrew Luzniak, 8018, Holgra armies. Yes, I think Holgra armies. We will have a detachment that will allow you to run an entire Grot army and enough Grot-driven units to allow you to do it. So again, currently we have Killicans and Grots, and Met Guns are the only Grot-crewed things. You got a character, and you've got enough to do an army. They're going to redo Grots. They're definitely redoing Grots. There are going to be more than 10 Grots in their redo, for sure. I don't know if it's going to be 12 or 16 or 20 or what, but it's going to be more than 10 Grots. And I think the Runt Hunter is going to be separate. The Runt Hunter is going to be his own standalone character because that makes way more sense than having the mixed armor in the squad. So you get some brand new Grot models for the Grots. You've got a brand new character to lead them, who again will be another Grot, not just the Runt Herder. The Killicans, I still think you're going to get an upgrade sprue. You got the Met guns, and then you throw one more thing in there. Like I said, Grot tanks. I really think we're getting Grot tanks. You've got a pretty darn decent detachment. I think all they're really kind of missing is some sort of an elite unit. I could see them making super Grots for Zodgrod Wurtsnaga, for example, or making like a Grot, an actual Grot sniper kill team thing, like we all made out of the halflings. Something like that. I could see like a more elite Grot unit coming out as well. And yeah, we'll see what happens from there. But yeah, I really do think we're getting a whole Grot army as an option. Let's see. Real CJ says we're getting a new beast boss for almost sure. I agree with that. So what he's alluding to, for those of you that missed the videos or whatnot, I did a video on all the things that they showed us for Dawn of War 4. And all the things in Dawn of War 4 had a bunch of stuff. But then they had that whole... Was it? Yeah, no, it was still Dawn of War 4. So there's the Orc War Boss in the Mega Armor, right? And he's got a Power Claw. And that's the named character. He's the same named character from all the Dawn of War. But I think that he's going to allow us to get a new War Boss and Mega Armor kit that you could build as either him or as a generic War Boss and Mega Armor that's different than the Monopose one that came out in 2018. I don't think they're going to discontinue the Monopose one, but they might. But yeah, I think we're going to get a new War Boss and Mega Armor model that's going to have multiple build-out options and then, again, be able to build a special character. However, in those trailers, there's also a Beast Boss. Now, this particular Beast Boss actually starts off on the Squigosaur and gets knocked off by the other War Boss, and they kind of go at it and they become rivals. So this Beast Boss, he does not have the same loadout as either the Beast Boss on foot nor the Beast Boss on Squigosaur. So what we think is we're also going to get a dual kit for him. We're going to get a new Beast Boss on foot that you can either build as a special character from Dawn of War or as a generic Beast Boss on foot that's got different loadouts than the one that they already have. The one that they already have out is not a very well-selling kit. You can kind of tell what kits sell and what kits don't based on the discounts available on them. So again, Games Workshop goes on a cost-plus basis on their contracts, meaning if I'm a retailer, right, I've got my store, I've got Old Big Mech Shop, friendly local game store, and I'm buying stuff directly from Games Workshop, they're going to give me a price range that I am not allowed to go out of for my kits. 40K has the least amount of discount out of all of their lines, and that discount is usually pretty well set. However, as kits go out of production or as kits sit on the shelf, they are allowed to mark them down. Battle Force, the Strike Force Augustus with the weird Nerf gun Marines was like that. That box sat around for absolutely ever. In fact, you could still go buy it on eBay right now for way less than retail because it's such a terrible box. Retailers were able to cut the price and drop it as the months went on to get it off the shelf. Long and the short of it is, the Beast Boss you could actually buy for more than 15% off retail. That's usually a good sign. It's not a good selling kit. So I could totally see them replacing that kit with a new one. Same thing with the old War Boss and Mega Armor that's Monopose. All right, let's see. Any chance the Grot bomb launcher makes a return, I think? Ooh, that is a great question. And yes. So remember how we were just talking about the War Buggy a little while ago? I think the War Buggy might be driven by Grots instead of Orcs. Which means, again, you can still use it in the Orc army. But yeah, like that becomes another Grot kit. Maybe it becomes the Grot version of the truck and it can carry some Grots on it. And then again, that little back part is going to be kind of modular. You can take it on and off. There's going to be different weapons available for it. And a Grot bomb launcher being on it could totally be one of them. I think that makes a ton of sense. And yeah, a lot of people are hearing whispers of a Grot character. They really are. There's too many Red Gobbo books. There's too many. I mean, what, 5 out of the last 6 Christmas holiday special edition figures have been the Red Gobbo. Um, you've got 4 full-length novels now, plus however many novels feature Grots with big ideas. They even said in their article the other day that reintroduced your own character development. The last one was a Grot with big ideas. Like they had an Imperial Guard commander in a Sentinel, right? And like a Space Marine chaplain on bike, and then a Grot with big ideas. I mean, come on. Yeah, we're getting some fun Grot stuff. Tugbobo got here late. You will listen when you're on the tugboat. All right. You did not miss truck talk. You did not miss truck talk. Okay. We're gonna address Tugbobo O2's comment there. Truck talk. The truck is changing. The truck is changing. I guarantee you we are getting a new truck. An all new truck. Okay? The truck is changing. The current truck is gigantic. It is as big as a Land Raider. When you put all of the gubbins on it, where they're supposed to go, how they're supposed to go to be fully legal, that thing takes up the footprint of a Stampa. It is gigantic. It is also really hideously expensive to make, even though the mold is already made. Like the actual lining up that many molds and putting that many pieces of plastic in the box, it's all expense. The truck is dead. It is dead and gone. If you like the truck or you want one for conversions or making met guns, you better go buy it now. Because I guarantee you the truck is done. Now, will the launch box have a truck in it? Probably not. But I do see us getting a new truck. I see it being a more reasonable size, more like the size of a Rhino, less like the size of a Land Raider. I think it's going to be very similar looking. I think it's going to be very cool looking. I think it's going to be a lot more practical to own and use. The current truck, if you actually build it the right way, with the boarding ramps that go up and down and the giant exhaust stack and all the spikes up the front and the big wrecking ball, it is impossible to move that thing from your house to the game store to play a game without breaking at least 7 things. Okay? They are making all of that extraneous gubbin stuff and all of the moving stuff go away. The bottom of the truck isn't going to have all the differentials and drive shafts anymore. We're going to lose the radiator and the cooling fan and all that. Like, it's going to be much more like a gaming piece than a scale model. We are getting a new truck, and it will change the size. So if you're converting trucks right now, I would hold off till the new one comes out so you don't accidentally make your new truck the wrong size. Hey, Istithar, built your first orcs ever over Christmas. Squad of Monopose boys and the TV crew from Play on Tabletop. Nice. Welcome to the WA, my friend. How did you like it? New buggy with a burner. Yes, Calvin, a new buggy with a burner would be amazing. McFats and orcs need a proper monster character, so I'm assuming you need a looted Catan. Okay, so Crazy Pants, unhingedness again. There's been lots of people asking about either the Beast or who's that war boss that is stuck in the warp on the Corn planet, Tuska Demon Killer. I could totally see Tuska coming out. We're not getting the Beast because that's old. That's like Horsey Heresy era at this point. But Tuska Demon Killer, I could totally see coming out. The problem you have is that they build Gaz up to be like the supreme master warlord of everything, but Gaz on the tabletop isn't. Again, I love Gaz. There he is right there. Cool model, cool rules, cool background, but you compare him to the Rabute Gillimans and the Lions of the world, you compare him to the Bellicors of the world, he gets kind of curb stomped. He's not big enough, he's not strong enough, he's not crazy enough. So, I think we're getting a new Gazgul Thraka. Again, not in the launch box. He is not going to be in the launch box. But with the range refresh, I think we are getting a new Gazgul model. I mean, look, they've already replaced Marnius Calgar, right? And there's rumors that Rabute Girlyman is getting a new model as well, right? Titus has been replaced. Lieutenant Titus does not exist anymore. The new Captain Titus actually replaces him. The data sheets for Lieutenant Titus no longer exist. They went to Legends. You cannot play that model. He is no longer legal. That thing's only, what, 2 years old? If that? A year and a half? Right? Like, that's crazy. So, yeah, Games Workshop will totally replace a character, even a major one, if they can make some money off of it. So, I totally see us getting a new Gazgul that's going to upgrade him to what he needs to be on the tabletop, thus leaving room in between him and war bosses for a few more orky characters to either come into the fold or make a comeback, such as our boy Uthak Blackhawk. So, that's where I think we're going with that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I could still see a Tuska Demon Killer coming out. I really could. He's a really, really cool model in the lore. Plus, again, with the whole sub-factions thing, it kind of gives you this ability to do like a anti-demon orc army with like some sort of a chaos-ish aesthetic. I don't know, man. That could just be super rad. I don't know if any of you guys have seen. There's a few people out there that paint red orcs, so they do their skin in red instead of in green, and they look really cool, like really, really cool. And I could see that becoming like more of a thing. Obviously, there's like black orcs out there too that are really cool looking. I've seen lots of pale orcs, like very white or ghoulish looking. Yeah, I don't know. You can come up with some cool stuff. All right. Istithar says, need to configure stream to be low latency. Yeah, honestly, I've been struggling with stream on this camera. Or actually, I'm sorry, streaming software through YouTube. Because it's not even just this camera, because it does it on all my cameras. YouTube's streaming that's built into their platform, first of all, it doesn't make me be the right way around, even though I'm the right way around on my camera. And I'm the right way around when I film and then download and upload. So I don't know where that comes from. But also, yeah, the latency between the stream and the chat. But also remember, I'm reading way back in the chat. I'm not right at the end because I try to get to everybody. But the latency, that's all YouTube. I did stream once through a different camera setup that came with its own streaming software that then talked to YouTube, and that seemed to work way better. And I would like to get there again soon. I'm definitely looking at making some camera upgrades. But right now, all of our teeth is tied up in one very, very big thing. We need to get through that first. And once we get through that, hopefully get some sales going on some stuff. We can really, really polish in some upgrades. And yeah, just getting cameras that work with different live streaming stuff than YouTube is high on the list. All right, Lefty 8968. Thoughts the next codex going to include a new army rule that can be interchangeable with old detachments? Yes and no. What we're seeing with other armies is detachments that change the army rule. Okay? So what they're going is, hey, even if we use everything in the codex, doesn't mean we have to stick with the same army rules. And by doing that, it opens things up for more creativity from both us, the players, and from Games Workshop. So I don't necessarily think that the army rule itself is going to change just to accommodate that. I do think it's going to change, though. They haven't quite gotten the WA right yet. It has been kind of all over the place since it came out as an army rule. It's probably better now than it has been in a long time as far as like fairness and balance. Like you could call it on your turn instead of like only during the first player's turn, stuff like that. But I do still see it getting tweaked. But yeah, like Speedwa, I think is going to get its own army rule that supersedes the base army rule, if that makes sense. Sevmaster says an orc upgrade sprue for the Lehman Russ. I 1000% agree. The looted Lehman Russ exists in the Speed Freaks video game. Games Workshop does not license things that do not exist on the tabletop. We are probably going to get an upgrade sprue for the Lehman Russ. I don't know if it'll be sold on its own or if they're going to like literally box of the Lehman Russ, but I think Looted Tank is going to make a comeback to the army. I think that is going to be an actual thing again, because again, it was a thing for a great many editions. But I see it coming back to an actual kit. They used to have a kit for it that was Forge World. But obviously what most people do is like what I did. They use the turret from the battle wagon and they just plop that in the Lehman Russ and it just works the business. So hopefully they just do something like that. But that is what is modeled in Speed Freaks, and I totally see it coming back to the tabletop. All right. Dan Taylor, Corn Orcs Detachment. Yeah, absolutely. Let's get some actual Demon Orcs too. Why not? And yes, Kirk Monduit, 87.95. Bring on that non-holiday Red Gobbo. 1,000%. I love the holiday Red Gobbos. I've got almost all of them. In fact, it is one of the things I want to do is collect all of them. But having an actual one that you could use that's not Legends, that's not holiday themed, that's just an actual Red Gobbo would be rad. They would sell a ton of them. I mean, even if you're not a Grot player, you're going to go buy him just because he's cool. I think you're probably going to be a Grot player. Real CJ, Guzcutta, say his name. Okay, yes, the new Beast boss, his name is Guzcutta. Sorry. You guys know I'm really bad with names. Frank Youngling, they can bring back Pulsar Rockets and Squig Catapult from 2nd edition. Absolutely. Ooh, in fact, speaking of Squig Catapult, did you guys see what I bought? This is this kit, by the way. So the reason why I got this is if you do Warhammer Plus on the annual pass, every year they give you a $10 voucher. It's not always $10. I think one year it was $20. But every year they give you a voucher for the web store. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to use that, right? And they had this guy on there for $10. The original OG Orc Shaman. And in metal. Not fine cast, in metal. And I was like, oh man, I gotta have him to build and paint and put in my little mini museum display I've got going of important orc minis. So I picked him up, but obviously I wanted to get free shipping, so I had to buy something else, right? And I realized that in their kits that are online only, they had this, the Grot Scrap Launcher. So this is a really old kit from the it was Warhammer Fantasy Battles, but they did get ported over to Age of Sigmar. They're the giants, the ogres. This kit dual builds as either an Iron Blasta for the ogres or as the Grot Scrap Launcher. I don't know that you can even use this in the game anymore or anything like that, but yeah, it's online only. This kit is super duper cheap. It was like $30 or less, and you get all the parts to make both things for the Ogre Kingdom. So you get like those giant tusks and the huge cannon, plus the Ogre guy, and then you get the other version here to make the Grots. And I thought that is some excellent kit bashing material for not a lot of money. So I would highly suggest checking out the online only deals on the web store. Because, yeah, this kit on, like, eBay or whatever, like, in the old school box, can kind of go for stupid money. But, yeah, it's brand new on the sprue. And, oh, yeah, all the Grots in this, by the way, are very pirate-themed because this thing is like a ship. That's why you see the one there that's got, like, the steering wheel. So, yeah, if you want some good old-fashioned pirate Grots, this kit's where it's at. Yeah, fantastic deal on that kit. Super duper happy with it. Let's see, put the part number up there for you guys. But it's the Gutbusters Iron Blasters, how they have it listed. But it still comes with all the parts. Super duper cheap. Okay. Where are we at here? Commander 6543 is waiting for to release a 12 model Space Marine box that's literally just every lieutenant they sell. I once made an army list that was all of the lieutenants maxed out, and it was like over 4,000 points of lieutenants. It was really stupid. I kind of wanted to bring it to a tournament just to do it. But yeah, it's not just lieutenants either. So I don't know if any of you remember, but Beskrat, his Ultramarine army is gigantic. And late last year, like right after I broke my arm, he had decided on his own that he wanted to thin it down by a bunch, just because his painting had changed over the time, and his taste had changed, and he was actually feeling like really overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that he owned. So he put a bunch of his stuff up for sale. He sold off all of his armies that weren't his Death Guard or his Ultramarines, and he pared his Ultramarines down by about a third, maybe a half. And but one of the models he wanted to get rid of was the special edition, like 30th anniversary veteran sergeant thing. And I'm like, dude, this guy's worth like a lot of money. And he's like, no, want to sell it, don't care. And yeah, the guy we sold to, he was messaging me. He was like, I didn't realize that this was like a thing. It's like, yeah, there are space, like it looks like a bog standard Space Marine, maybe one or two extra, flaily thingies on it, but they have so many special editions that you don't even know are special edition if you didn't totally know that kit, because there are just so many of them. There's Games Day ones and like store anniversary things. I mean, they're just so many out there. So many special editions out there. Let's see. James Wallace says the truck is problematic. Yes, it is. Tarko TJLC would be cool if GW made a bunch of Snotling miniatures. You could add them to any unit for small points or something. So, Nurglings in a box exists, and Scarab Swarms exist, and a whole bunch of other armies got cute little buggers that kind of go with the army. There's things that spore mines and things that go with the Tyranids. The Necron's got a couple other little things that aren't quite scarabs but are also little. Real CJ, yeah, that's me. I got that sergeant. Yeah, that was you. CJ has it. Yeah, that sergeant, he's worth bucks. If you don't want to use him in your army, you could sell him on eBay. He's worth a lot of teeth. Might be able to buy a whole squad with the price of him. But anyways, back to what was I talking about? The Snotlings. I can see Games Workshop adding some Snotlings and or some Grots, maybe even some Squigs, to all of these new Orc sprues coming out, so that you can have them to add on to things. I don't think they're going to get their own rules. They're not going to be like Scarab Swarms you can or Nurglings, where you could take them as a unit. But I think that we're going to see little pieces of them in like all of these future kits as just decorations, so that you can add them to your models and give some good flavor, because it's something that's kind of easy to do on the sprue, that adds a lot of flavor to the kit for not a whole lot of money. Yeah. Let's see. CJ asks, what do you think with all the smart grots that have been popping up in the lore that they're moving orc evolution forward as they've been gaining more power as a species? Well, grots have always been cunning. All the way back to this book, grots are cunning. They are way more cunning than brutal. They come up with all sorts of things and inventions. There are so many stories and things in the lore and the codexes over the years about like big mechs that don't really do anything, and it's the grots that actually get the machines to work. The Gorkonauts and whatnot. But yes, in general, they have been letting orcs as a whole get more cunning and become scarier. The Uftak Blackhook books are actually super like that. The Big Daka was excellent for that. It was really diving into the mind of tactics of an orc, and the way that they think about things and problem solve. And it shows that we're not just goofy, that we are like horrifying. Like orcs are scary. Like if you really think about it, they are absolutely bonkers. I mean, double the size of a human, rip you in half, and they love to fight. And I think that's kind of the one part that's missing from the modern orc rules. Way back in the day, 3rd edition, leadership tests, when your unit took attrition and stuff, you had to take a leadership test. If you failed it, you ran away. But orcs had this thing called a mob-up rule, which was, first of all, in the leadership test, you didn't test against a leadership value, because they did have values, right? Just like weapon skill, ballistic skill, leadership used to be a value. Like you would pay to have a veteran sergeant in your Space Marine unit because his leadership was higher than the base Space Marines, right? Anyways, the orcs didn't have a leadership value, or at least they didn't roll against it. You would roll against the number of orcs left in the squad. So you started off with 16 boys and you lost 5. Unless you rolled 12, they were good to go. Because whatever leadership thing you rolled, they would go 1, 2, 3, lots. Ah, we're good, and they'd keep going. If they did fail, what they could do is they could join another a boys squad behind them that was bigger, and then they would become one unit. So if you had a squad of 16 boys and a squad of 16 boys, and the first squad takes 6 casualties and fails the leadership test, and the second squad, no matter what size it was there, they would just mob up with each other and be like, oh, there's enough orcs if you count those guys. They count. I would love to see something like that come back. Where as long as you got bodies on the board, it don't matter. We're not going anywhere but forward. That would be super duper rad. All right, Kelvin Ryder asks, I would buy another orc truck kit, but haven't been get any orc stuff at all here on the East Coast. That is by design. That is by design. They are letting all of the orc stuff go out of stock on purpose because they do not want to lose money. There is zero reason to have a bunch of old stock laying around on shelves, in stores, in warehouses that you are about to replace. You've seen this with every single army they've done, every single replacement box they've done. They let the old ones go away before they make the new ones. That's just smart business. And as dumb as Games Workshop can be sometimes, they know how to make money. And you make money by doing smart business with your production and your stock. So that's why you can't find any orc things. And the few orc things you can find are things that aren't getting changed. So you're seeing Beast Nagas, you're seeing Boss Snickrot. You saw that on my video where I went to every local game store in the city. Every single one of them had a Boss Snickrot. He's not going anywhere, right? You find, the Commandos and the other kill team, the Tank Buster guys, and you find all the buggies. You don't find trucks. You don't find boys. You don't find knobs. You definitely don't find a war boss. All those things are getting changed. That's why they're sold out. That's why they're online only at the GW store, all that stuff. James Lawless says, holy cow, I gotta get caught up in my play group. Anytime I show up with a truck, my friends love to blow it off the board first thing. It was a bit of a meme. I know, right? It's hard. It is hard. Kirk, new Gaz, or at least new stat block for a big bad green machine. We're definitely getting a new stat block, but I think new Gaz will model. Okay. Real CJ says the beasts were 1,000 years after Horus Heresy, and Gaz was actually prophesized during the War of the Beasts. Very interesting stuff. Yeah, no, the Beast Arises, that whole series, the story is fantastic. I don't think they're going to make it miniature because it's way closer to 30K than it is to 40K. And Games Workshop is definitely segregating and segmenting those two universes on the tabletop. So yeah, we're not getting them unless they add orcs to Horsey Heresy. I don't know. Calvin asks, how about a war boss on trike? Maybe with a grot named Fix It. So we already have a trike. That's the Death Killer War trike. We're not going to get a different trike. However, don't let Games Workshop know I'm telling you this. We're going to get a new war boss on Warbike in the launch box. I'm telling you. Bet your teeth on it. We're getting new biker boys and a new war boss on bike in the launch box. That's what Gork told me. Yeah. So, in case you haven't heard the rumors, the launch box is supposed to be half fast attack themed and kind of half heavy themed. It's supposed to be kind of like a rock and a hard place or a hammer and anvil, right? You're going to have this fast moving force designed to go hit the other army, but also this like defensive wall force on your own side. And both sides of the box are supposed to play off of that and each other. And there's supposed to be new bikes in the Space Marine side. However, it sounds like they might be scout bikers. They're not going to be the new Outrider guys that are already monopose. It's going to be like scout bikers, but then a new monopose Outrider kit is coming separate from the launch box. Orcs are going to have bikes as well. However, there's no need for orc bikes to be multi-pose kits. They don't have any war gear options really besides the knob, and you can easily make 2 different arms for the knob to have a big chopper or a claw, just like they did with the monopose boys kits. So I totally see them doing the bikers in the launch box, and the bikers are going to need somebody to lead them, and they're not going to throw a Death Killer War Trike in there because the box is going to be 100% new models, and we haven't had a war boss on Warbike in a long time. And a war boss on Warbike is important and does take up a different thing in the army than the War Trike because it is a much smaller base size. And when you're leading a squad of bikes, that's really, really important. It's also like just in the lore and stuff like that. Again, don't get me wrong, the war trike is cool. I've got it. I built it. I painted it. I love the model. But an orc that rides around on the back of a trike isn't as cool as an orc that rides his own bike and crumps things, right? That's why we're going to get a war boss on bike, for sure. CJ says, don't forget the Emperor himself recognized orcs as an Imperium ending level threat. Well, yeah, that's because all of Warhammer 40k is for the orcs. The very first Warhammer model ever is an orc. I did a whole video on him. He's in my case there. The very first 40k model, orc. The whole universe exists for us to have fun. We like war. We like DACA. We like crumbing. We like having a great time looting and hooting and hollering, right? So they gave us a whole galaxy full of people fighting each other to make it interesting for us. The Warhammer 40k universe is actually just orc heaven. That's all it is. It's orc heaven. So yes, we are an Imperium ending level threat. Except for we never actually end it because then it'd get boring. Like we beat them, within an inch of their lives to a pulp, and then be like, I get bored and walk away. I'll let them rebuild and get like new things for us to go loot. Be nice to see old Zogwart make a return. Yes, okay. Word Boy's going away. He's not going to be Yoda anymore. Weird Boy's going to be all new. And we might get a weird boss. So, some of the rumors about the launch box are that it's going to have a plethora of characters in it, just like the Leviathan box did. Leviathan box, I think it had 3 characters for the Tyranids and 4 for the Space Marines or something like that. It was a large number of characters. And the characters didn't even actually, always go with the units. I mean, the Space Marines, they had, the Terminator Librarian and the Terminator Captain could both lead the Terminators, but then they had the one Scout, or not Scout armored, you know what I mean, what is that lighter armor? Come on, guys, help me out here. The ones that the Phobos. So they had the Phobos Captain Lieutenant guy with the master crafted weapon or whatever that's got the Tyranid armor plate on him. And then they had the Gravis armored apothecary. But there was no Phobos and there was no Gravis in the entire box. So you couldn't actually use either of those characters in a meaningful way. But they were still in the box. The rumor is the same kind of thing is happening here. They are putting these guys in the box, in the launch box, then they're going to be sold separately on their own later. But those guys are going to be a Weird Boy, a Runt Herd, and then something else that we don't know of yet. But yeah, I definitely think Weird Boy Weird Boy is getting replaced. Any idiot can see that the Weird Boy is getting replaced. He's still a fine cast model, and he's a terrible model. They're going to replace the Weird Boy. But I think that the Boy is going away. Oh, Pain Boy. That was the other guy. Pain Boy is going to be in there. So you're going to get a Pain Boy, a Weird Boy, and a Runt Herder, possibly a Mad Doc. Mad Doc might make a comeback as standalone characters with this launch and with this redo. But yeah, old Zogwart was one of these special characters, and yeah, weird bosses used to be a thing. And again, I can see these new double kits are like Games Workshop's thing, right? Because they've realized that, well, if we make a kit and you can make a generic character and make it any way you want, people will buy it and stuff. And if we make a special character, people might buy it. But if you make both kits into one kit where you can build it as either or, they seem to sell better. Because people are like, oh yeah, I'll get it, and they make the special character, and then oh, but I really want to make the my own character too, so they get another one, they make that character, then all the bits and stuff, and even though they don't need another one, they buy another one, and then you got 3 of these boxes laying around, right? You can only sell 1 Snickrod, but you can sell 4 Mazrog Scragbads, because you can build 1 Mazrog and 3 Beast Boss on Squigosaurs, right? And so this is what they're thinking of when they're making these molds. They're like, okay, I mean, yes, obviously there are characters that they're only going to make the one of, especially in Space Marines, but in the rest of our armies, special characters, they got to be really, really special for you to really buy, like a Gazgul. Otherwise, they kind of sit around a bit. So, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Let's see. More talk than tactics. All I want is the ability to run your feral orcs. Well, I mean, you can do that in any detachment anyway. But yeah, welcome back. Since the last time we played a lot was in third edition. Third edition was the best edition. But welcome back. It's still fun. Thanks for all the conversion videos. You are welcome. That is our bread and butter here. As soon as my claw actually works again, I know I can move it, but what you guys can't see is, those of you that don't know, shattered my wrist. I've got a bunch of titanium in it. I've had 2 surgeries. I've got one to go. But I've got a titanium rod that goes from the first knuckle to here. And it prevents my wrist from doing this at all. But the other thing is when you do this, when you curl, it activates these tendons and things, right? And because of this rod, I can't really do it, and especially can't do it with any kind of force. So like I could do it, but then if I actually try to pinch something, it just doesn't work. Like the pain, the resistance, way too much. So like right now, I'm just getting movement going. I can't actually like grip like little pieces and parts and do conversions and things. So February, hopefully. And yes, Mad Doc did definitely make me a Scarboy. I've got some from my time in the Coast Guard, and then I added a whole bunch that I've shown off a few times. They're kind of gnarly. Got a big one here that kind of goes like that, and then I got 2 up here. They're gonna reopen these 2, so they'll get bigger and gnarlier when they reopen them and put them back together. But the Mad Docs do a really good job. They do a really good job. I had no complaints. Let's see. Assault Defend K. Not sure which purchase to close on, the truck or the gun wagon. Okay. Assault Defend K. If you are buying to build and add to your army, get the battle wagon. The battle wagon is not changing. That kit's not going anywhere. Buy the battle wagon. If you're buying to make sure that you have bits on hand to convert with, get the truck. The truck is going away. The truck is going away. We are getting a new truck. They are making a different truck. Don't buy the truck kit and build it, because the new truck will be a different size. Okay? But if you want the truck kit for conversions, for example, 1 truck kit plus 1 met gun, you can make 4 met guns, right? If you want it for that, buy it now, because it's about to go away forever. I practice what I preach. I have 3 unopened truck kits in my stash, plus my 6 trucks that are built and painted. Only 3 are still fully assembled and painted. I actually took 3 of them apart and added their bits into my bits collection in preparation for this new truck change. More than likely, when the new truck comes out, I will take apart 2 more. I will only have 1 of the current truck fully built that it will probably run as like a second battle wagon or something like that. Because again, its size is nearly identical to the battle wagon when you actually put all of the gubbins on it. And I do have 1 truck that has literally every gubbin on it, where it's supposed to be, how it's supposed to be. And every time it breaks, I actually do glue it back together. So it has stayed. It has stayed. But yeah, if you buy the truck, do not build it. You guys got me yet? If you buy a truck, don't build it. All right. Kirk says 2 looted tanks looking for some fun. Oh yeah, dude, looted tanks, they just so need to make a comeback. They really do. All right, where are we at here? Oh my gosh, you guys are going so fast. I'm having a hard time keeping up. Should I get a Stampa or a bunch of old Gorka stuff? Shady Snakes. That is an excellent question. What I would answer is it depends. If you like really old school metal minis and stuff, the Gorka stuff just has style for days, right? But almost none of it is useful in today's world. The war bikes are too small. The war track doesn't exist. The war buggy doesn't exist. The war truck is way too tiny. All the boys are too small. Half the units don't exist anymore. Like you can only use them in the vintage game. You're not going to use any of it in modern 40K. So if you actually play 10th and a half edition Warhammer 40K, you should get the Stampa, because you can actually play the Stampa and use the Stampa. But if you've got a line on a bunch of Gorka stuff and that calls to you and you are going to build a vintage army and use a vintage army or enjoy owning a vintage army, then yeah, you should get it. A real CJ is going to make that Special Edition Sergeant of Bloodraven. Perfection. Let's see. Hoovy Bear, the fact that you could buy the Tau drones is so funny they have no rules. That is an excellent point. Yeah, so back in the day, Tau drones were their own um, data sheet. This is before they were data sheets, right? But they were their own entry. Like you'd have a battle suit and then a drone, right? Or two drones or whatever. And then you could actually take a unit of drones by themselves, too. Like, so they were just everywhere. They're all over the army, and they all had profiles. Now they are just war gear. They don't exist anymore. They don't take up space anymore, anything like that. So yeah, you could go buy a blister pack of Tau drones, but it's not even a unit. It's just add-on fluff at this point, which is hilarious. Shady Snakes wants to know: have I actually kit bashed the big mech that created my WA in my headcanon? Not yet. Not yet. I have a bunch of parts. I have a couple of bodies. I've been waiting for them to make like a big mech boss worthy of it. And I thought that the new big mech that came out 2 years ago might have been it. I really did like him. I toyed with the idea of making him my big mech, but he's still not quite big enough. What I really want is like a big mech special character or like a big mech and mega armor that is actually proper big. That's what I want. And so when that happens, that will be my big mech. And that's kind of the running gag in my army right now. For those of you that don't know, my orcs, all of their stuff is haphazardly painted different colors, but everything kind of has a little bit of this Tamiya orange on it that kind of looks like McLaren papaya. And that is the brand name of my big mech. And so the more orange stuff you have, the higher up in status you are on this planet, because that big mech stuff is the stuff to get. The problem is, nobody knows who this big mech is. Nobody even sees him. They just see random piles of junk all around, and like he'll build something and then abandon it. And so they're all running around this planet trying to find the things this big mech has built to add it to their WA. They're trying to find this big mech, and now Gazgul has showed up, and he's trying to find this big mech going, I really need this guy because he builds all these crazy things, but nobody can actually figure out where he is on this planet full of junk building all these random things. Because that is basically what my desk is. Nobody knows where I am. There's just random half-built stuff everywhere that's kind of cool looking. And a lot of the orange is flames, because I'm really good at painting flames. And yeah, so that's my whole shtick. But yeah, I need to actually make my big mech one day. Assault Defend K, new Orc Codex and Guarantee. Absolutely. I don't even need the side of a stat for that. Every single army is getting a new Codex in 11th edition, without fail. The difference is, some editions, when the new edition comes out, the old Codex is invalidated. All right? So this is our current one. This is the current 10th edition Codex. If 11th edition was a hard redo, you would take this and you'd throw it out the window, and you'd use an index instead. 11th edition is not going to be that. So when 11th edition drops, every codex that is already out is still legal. 11th edition is just the current 10th and a half edition, all put into a new rulebook. I mean, again, I've harped on this, but for those of you that don't know, the 10th edition rulebook that came out in the Leviathan box set in the summer of 2023 has zero to do with the rule set that you print out right now from Games Workshop. The movement doesn't work the same. Runes don't work the same. Almost nothing works the same. So, the rules that you actually download and play now are almost entirely different than the rules when this edition started anyway. So if they just take all those rules and put them back into one rulebook, you've got 11th edition. That is heavily rumored to be what 11th edition is. It is just 10th and a half with some tweaks. So all of the codexes are still going to be viable. However, just like they do every single edition, as the edition ages, that's what they do, is they come out with a new codex every so often, with, the expansion or the redo to that army, and that codex will replace the codex that became before it. So just like the 10th edition codex replaced the 9th edition codex, we will get an 11th edition codex that replaces the 10th edition codex. Okay? So they're good for now, but you will get a brand new one, and since we are one of the launch armies, the first two codexes will be Space Marines and Orcs, So we will have our new codex this summer. 15 glorious minutes. You reckon Met guns will be redone and be on a base? That is an excellent question. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why I have not built or converted any Met guns on the channel yet, is I do heavily think that Met guns are going to get redone and be put on a base. Basically, if you've looked at any I honestly not even 40k models, because like the cities of Sigmar in AOS, they have heavy weapons on bases, like just all sorts of armies coming out having that. But the Imperial Guard, there is heavy weapons teams that are on a base. There are Krieg heavy weapons teams that are on a base. There is artillery on a base. There's Krieg artillery on a base. The ordnance batteries. All of the ordnance is going to round base as a complete unit on there, instead of having like ours right now where the gun is by itself and then you've got all these little grots and their own little 25s. That's not going to happen anymore because they're just counters. They're not even a unit. They're like wound markers. So I think that the Met guns are getting replaced. I could even see the Met guns getting replaced in the lunchbox. Now I know Valrak talked about that he thinks that orcs are getting some sort of a walker with a turret on its head. I still don't know what that's all about, but I could see Met guns literally being in the lunchbox. But if not in the lunchbox, I could definitely see them getting redone. Again, they're hard to find. They've been around forever. They don't really work in today's environment. Plus, I mean, Games Workshop does know that you can buy a truck and a Met gun and make. I mean, that has been a conversion that's been out there for years, if not more than a decade. So you know, they don't necessarily condone that kind of kit bashing. They'd rather sell us for kits. So yeah, I could definitely see Met guns getting redone. Big Fatson, you kind of want to buy a truck kit just because it's search marks. Do it. I'm 1000% like on board. You guys, if you do not own a truck kit that is in pieces, go buy a truck kit. First of all, it's one of the cheapest 40k units out there. I think you can get it for like $42, which is ridiculous in 2026. And it is literally 4 full-size sprues of bits. You get the truck bed with the armor panels and then the extra armor panels that go on the side. You get 6 wheels. You get the engine with the hood scoop on it, the radiator, the fan, and 2 different battering rams at the front, 2 different boarding ladders on the side, 2 different roll bars on the top. You get a driver, you get a gunner, you get a wrecking ball, you get the heavy shooter for the, like, the bits in this thing are crazy. If you want to loot any kind of vehicle whatsoever, having a truck kit to start with is the way to go. And then yes, the same thing would apply to Met guns. If you don't already own a Met gun, I would highly suggest buying a kit and just don't build it yet. Just throw it in your pile and forget about it until the new edition comes out. But the Met gun comes with all 4 guns and just 1 chassis. So like if they redo the Met guns, like maybe they only give you 1, or they're going to do like the Horus Heresy emplacement, right? Like that artillery was 2 kits. 1 kit had 3 of the guns and the other kit had the other 3 guns, and they were totally separate kits. What if they do that? What if they split the guns up? Well, now you've got all 4 guns already by having the current Met gun kit. So grabbing these boxes now and just throwing them in your stash is future-proofing your army and your conversion ability. Savmaster thinks the orc leader for the launch box will be a storm boss. No. Here's how I know this. I've talked about this a bunch. Games Workshop is very famous for its licensing deals with video game makers. They will not allow anything in a video game that does not exist on the tabletop. They don't always line up exactly. Sometimes the video game is out for a while before the model comes out. Sometimes the model exists forever before the video game gets it, okay? But if it exists in the video game, it exists on the tabletop. The Storm Boys that we have seen in all of the trailers, Dawn of War 4, Total War Warhammer 40K, the animations, they look exactly like the current Storm Boys. So, the Storm Boys are not getting redone. They're just not. They're not getting redone. That kit is good enough. They look nice. They're going to stick with it. Now, are we going to get a Storm Boys leader? Yes. Here's what I think, though. You know, I keep talking about these dual kits. I can totally see them coming out with a dual kit that's Boss Zagstruck, you know, the named character Storm Boy guy, and a generic Storm Boy War Boss in one kit. I can see that being a possibility. However, and this one I'll get crazy for. I don't think Zagstruck's coming back. But I don't think we're getting a monopose one. I think what'll happen is we're going to get an Orc War Boss multi-part kit where you could build your War Boss with a shock jump generator or a Storm Boy backpack as some of his options. So, will you have a Storm Boy boss? Absolutely. Will he be in the lunchbox? Most likely not. Will he be Zagstruck? Not looking good. But I really do think we're going to get a Storm Boy option for a War Boss. All right. SK Wild wants to know Warbikers battle line. In Speedwa, yes. I think Speedwa detachment Warbikers are going to be battle line. And yes, we are getting all new bikes in the launch box. The current Orc bike kit is dead. If you buy it, don't build it. It's dead. Sabmaster wants to know if I ever played the game Full Throttle. I have not. I should take a look, though. That sounds cool. Hold on. Here we go. Cracked me back on that one. All right. In the grim darkness of the far future, there's only and that's the way we Zaga like it. That's right. Oh yeah, Phobos pattern. Oh yeah. Oh man, we're way behind. Let's see. Sounds like the launch box might be the base Crusade list I did last year and characters. That'd be cool. Hello, Silver Scratchbook Products. Get that super cyborg body enhancement must be nice. Yeah, I got a 5-up invul now for the titanium plate that exists in here. Oh, 15 Glorious Minutes has an excellent question. Few questions. Reckon Mega Knobs will be upscaled but still on 40mm bases or 50mm big boys? First of all, Mega Knobs are not changing. Again, Dawn of War 4 and Total War Warhammer 40K have both shown us full animations with current Mega Knobs. The Mega Knobs themselves are not changing. Base size, they are sticking with 40s. What's going to happen is the Mega Knobs are going to be on 40s and the Mega Armor characters are going to be on 50s. So right now the War Boss Mega Armor is on a 50, but the Big Mech is on a 40. That's going to go away. You're going to get a new Big Mech in Mega Armor that's going to be on a 50, just like the War Boss. Also, the other War Bosses are going to go on 50s. So regular War Boss is going to be on a 50. Weird Boss is going to be on a 50. All the bosses are going to be 50s. All the knobs are going to be 40s. So regular knobs are moving to 40mm bases. I'm telling you. Do you know how I know that? Because I just built and based 20 knobs on 32s, which means you know they're going to change it just to make me have to rebase all 20 of them stupid things. I'm telling you, knobs are going to 40s. You're going to have boys on 32s, knobs on 40s, war bosses on 50s. That is how the orcs are going to work. The bigger the orc, the better they are. The bigger the orc, the bigger the base. Easy as. In fact, to the point where I think we're going to start seeing knobs in squads on 40mm bases. The Tank Busta at Breaker Boys, where the knob is on a 40, looks excellent on the tabletop. It is really, really cool. And with regular knobs going to 40s, and with redoing the boys' kit, it just makes sense to switch from all the 40s. And then the Commandos, all they got to do is swap out one 32 millimeter base with one 40 millimeter base for the knob, and that gets done. Like, it is so zogging easy to make all orcs like this. Grots on 25s, orcs on 32s, knobs on 40s, and then all the bosses are on 50s. Bosses. Only bosses. Again, the knobs are stuck on 40s. Even the mega knobs. Mega knobs are going to still exist. They're going to still be on 40s. It's going to be the same kit that there is now. They are not changing the mega knobs. If they were going to change the mega knobs, they would not let these gigantic AAA game studios make full-fledged animations with the current kits. They just wouldn't do it, right? You've already seen with your own two eyes the Dawn of War 4 trailer, the gameplay trailer, and the cinematic trailer show updated boys and totally updated knobs. And it shows the current flash kits, which are on 40s, and the current mega knobs. Those two kits are staying the same. All right, Calvin Ryder asks, where'd it go? One truck kit and one Copta equals one Chinork. I think you need two Coptas, don't you? Because you need two blades. Or do you mean one Copta kit? Because there's three Coptas in the one Copta kit. That'd make enough to make a Chinork. Chop us, sluggers, and shooters. All your unbuilt trucks are going to end up as battle wagons for different clans. Yep, that's a good plan. 15 glorious minutes. Reckons they'll make a Big Mech named character. I think so too, honestly. First of all, you got Demech Lord, which may or may not exist anymore after the Big Daka. But still, you had Demech Lord. But also, you've got the Big Mech that works with Boss Zagstruck. Or not Zagstruck. Captain Badruck. Captain Badruck famously has an entire Space Hulk of his own that he could teleport. That his Big Mech built him a teleporter for. Where's his Big Mech? We need that guy. He could be the Big Mech of my army, man. That thing sounds awesome, right? So definitely some sort of named Big Mech character is a thing that I think is coming. And yes, Shady Six, the Saturnine Praetor is absolutely one of the bodies I've got sitting around for my Big Mech. I think it works so good. Hey, SK Wild's Orc Army's McLaren Papaya Orange too. Nice. That orange it just works so good with green skin. Green and orange, right, on that color wheel, it just pops. McFatson's War Boss's lore is a death skull named Degrabba, and he wants to grab all the tech in the universe and make it orky. Anyone can kill him to grab the name and become Degrabba. Oh, I like it. It's like the Dread Pirate Roberts. Perfect. Shady Snakes is a death skull named Demexnaga. Nice. Ooh, Kirk Modwit. Kit bashed up a Big Mech on bike with custom force field. Man, okay. There's a chance that Warboss and Warbike isn't the only character we're getting into Launchbox. We might be getting a Big Mech on bike too. Think about that. Have a Warboss on bike, a Big Mech on bike, and then like 6 bikes in there. That'd be a crazy good box. Yeah, there's a potential we get more than just a Warboss on bike. Or for example, if the Warboss on bike is not in the launch box and he's a multi-part kit, you might be able to build him as either a Warboss or a Big Mech on the bike. Could be really cool. Let's see. Andrew Lesniak's Warboss is named Thunderboot. His Wah got swallowed by Gaz and he wants to build a new one and crump Gaz himself. Ooh, I like it. That's different. That's different. Your Wah got eaten up and now you're out for revenge. That's rad. So Istithar, should we buy a Met gun? Yes, but do not build it. Don't build it. If you buy a Met gun, don't build it. Let's see. Oh, Shady Snakes is going to kit bash his character from Dirt Hermit's Gorka Morka RPG. That is awesome. Yeah, I need to do my squig in that. Met gun point per dollar is so awful I never buy one. I'm getting the $160 middle minutes. I agree, McFadden, but again, you don't buy the Met gun kit to just build one Met gun and be done with it. You buy the Met gun kit to combine it with a truck and build 4 Met guns. That's the smart way to do it. But again, I think it's changing. I think we're going to get different Met guns, and I think they're going to be on our own base. So, like, don't build it. Don't build it. Kirk Modwit says Zaggy needs to return. I mean, I agree. I like Zagstruck. I think Zagstruck is cool. I think he's got a lot of character. He's been around in the army forever. His mini was rad. I mean, he's the Vulture, right? He's got them sweet power claw feet. I don't know that they're going to do it. The fact that they just kind of killed him off and he never came back, um, you know, something's got to change, right? I mean, Boss Nazdrag used to be like the business. He was a bigger deal than Gazgul, and they dropped him, and that was that. He doesn't exist anymore. He's not even a thing. So some characters will go away, unfortunately, and I really do think Zagstruck is unfortunately one of them. But again, I do think we're going to get some sort of a storm boss. I don't think it's going to be named, but I do think he'll be able to run a storm boss. McFatson, one good thing about the Orc Bike Kit, the unique torsos, goggle heads, and car part melee weapons make for a great Mech Boy kit bashing. Yes, they do. And in fact, for those of you that don't know, the current War Bike Kit is the same old ecosystem as the old Boys Kit. And all of the other Orc kits that came out at the time. So the Ludas and the Burnas, the War Bikers, the actual boys, and then the current Old World boys. They're all the same ecosystem. They all have the same ball and socket joint at their waist, and they all have the same straight cut shoulder arms, and they all have the same like stumpy neck with the hollowed out head. So you can mix and match all those parts to your heart's content. So you buy the biker kit, the torsos are all unique to the biker kit, but you can run those torsos on the regular boys, and you can put regular boy torsos on the war bikers. Same thing with the heads, same thing with the arms. McFadden says if we're getting new 50mm base knobs, we better get new knobs because their stumpy legs and narrow torsos take up so little physical real estate. Okay, again, McFadden, we are getting new knobs, but they are on 40s. Knobs are on 40s. All right. So we're getting new knobs for sure. Again, the cinematic trailers have already shown you completely updated knobs that don't look anything like our current knobs. I mean, they do look a lot like our current knobs. They look cooler. They look better. They look bigger. They look beefier. They look meaner. I like them. They're done up in the style of the Monopose Boys, which, let's face it, we all like the way the Monopose Boys looks. There was nothing wrong with that style. It was all the way the kit was designed and built. But yeah, knobs are going to be on 40mm bases, not 50s. 50s are for bosses. Only bosses go on 50s. Calvin, 11:30 here, old Big Mac. Got a lot of snow to move tomorrow. All right, good seeing it. Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap this one up. It's been almost 2 hours here for me as well, so it's been a lot of fun. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, one copter box. Okay. Runherd says Big Mac on bike would be awesome to see. Absolutely, I agree. Tarko TJLC was looking at reading The Beast Arises, but it's like $1,600 for one of the books. Yeah, so there's a good and a bad about that. One, it's good that like Warhammer books are so good that people are like collecting them and willing to pay for them. But obviously, $1,600 for books is terrible. Like nobody will see that. But Games Workshop has actually been really, really good about reprinting books. I mean, they just reprinted The Flight of the Eisenstein, which was the most expensive Horus Heresy book. I think that book was going for like over $200 for like a paperback, right? That's how good that book was. So the fact that they would just reprint it at regular retail price, I think is fantastic. I think they do a really good job with it. It's just their library is so big, it can be kind of hard to like keep up on everything they need to do. But one day they will reprint The Beast Rises. You can also always buy them on ebook for way cheaper. But yeah, look around used bookstores, all that kind of things. Collect them up one at a time. But yeah, The Beast Rises does look really cool. McFatson, the more you say 50mm knobs, it makes sense. They're not 50s. Knobs are on 40s. New knobs upgraded the same size as the new boy's knob, and he's as big as a war boss. The war boss gets to be bigger. Exactly. If you guys have seen the knob in the new boys kit, the Monopose boys kit, that knob is the same size as the current war boss. He is a beefy knob. I like it. But yeah, he needs to be on a 40, just like the new Rekka Crew Tank Busta Break a Boy knob. He is on a 40. The Commando knob really needs to be on a 40. Knobs look so much better on 40s. But yeah, knobs are definitely going to a bigger base size, and war bosses are all going up to 50. So again, Grots on 25s, boys on 32s, knobs on 40s, war bosses on 50s. Boom. There's your orc army. McFadden says you can buy one mech gun and then use it plus bits to make a Death Dread with all the guns. Yes, you can. DeFlucenash has made it back from the subarctic trips and the trip to the gas station. Did you run into any Valhallan snow warriors out there? I've been listening the whole time and concur 100%. Excellent. I like they were batting 1,000. Real CJ, they didn't kill Zagstruck. He's literally in the 10th edition book. No, I don't mean killed off as in like he's not in the lore anymore. I mean like because he didn't get replaced in 10th edition, I don't think he's going to come back as a model anymore. I don't think they're going to do anything with him lore-wise. He's just going to kind of fade away the way that Boss Nazdrag did. Like, Boss Nazdrag was huge in the lore. He had stories and multi-pages and everything. And a kit. And yeah, he just kind of faded into oblivion. We don't actually even really know what happened to him. I think the same kind of thing is going to happen to Zagstruck. We're just going to hear less and less about him until he just, like, functionally doesn't exist anymore. Not, like, literally that he's killed off. Kirk bought it. Why they're at it, bring back the Pain Boy on bike. Also currently a Legends. That is a Legends. He is cool. Pain Boy on bike is not coming back. Pain Boy is not a boss. And only bosses are going to be characters on bikes. And they're not going to make a Pain boss. Because they already have a Pain boss that is a Beastnaga guy. I think he's either going to get renamed or he's going to maybe become the new Pain Boy. I don't know. It's a little weird. But, again, unhinged ramblings. There's no point in having a Pain Boy and a Pain boss. They both do the same thing. An orc can heal a Beastnaga just the same way they can heal a boy. There is no difference. The Pain boss isn't even a boss. He doesn't command a Wa. He's not on anything. He just, it's just not a good name. Okay? So Pain boss and Pain boy are going to merge into just Pain boy. So the current Pain boss kit might actually be the new Pain boy kit, which would be fine because the Pain boss kit is excellent. They're going to do the same thing with Werboy and Weird Boy. Werboy going away. They're not going to be a Werboy anymore. There's only going to be Weird Boy. But Weird Boss is much bigger. Weird Boss is going to be on a 50mm, and he's going to be all the weirds. Because remember, Mad Docs used to be one of the odd boys. They weren't their own thing. So the odd boss could be this whole thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a warphead. So, something to think about. Which, by the way, while you're thinking, don't forget to get yourself a red squig hat. These are embroidered. It's embroidered. That's not a patch. It's not an iron-on. That's not a printing. They are embroidered. Very high quality. Excellent hat. Get yourself one. You can get them in all navy. You can get them in this navy and red combo. You can get them in black. So, get yourself a red squig hat. To redwunzgofasta.com. Help us make that a reality. All right, what do we got? Does this mean my old war boss becomes an OB? An old biker? Love to see the return of big guns built by Big Mech bosses. Now, okay, Defluce and Snashes. That's what I think they are going to do in the launch box. Because Valrat keeps talking about some big artillery piece thingy that's on a turret that's on a walker. Like, maybe that is the big gun, right? And it's a self-propelled artillery. So it's not necessarily like a walker meaning to walk around, but like just that's how it self-propels. I don't know. Could be good. Yeah, no, real CG. I know. We know what happened to Nazdrag, but they're not going to keep going with it. Like, that story that's in the 10th book is the same story that was in, like, the 8th or the 7th book. Like, it's been the same lore forever. It's not a new piece of lore. And eventually they're going to stop putting that piece of lore in the codex because they've reprinted it 5 times now. It's not going anywhere, right? So that's what I mean. Like, they just eventually they cycle out of these things, especially as they replace them with newer lore, newer characters. Yeah, again, CJ, you might be right. Again, I think that we're getting a Stormboy War Boss no matter what. And maybe if he comes as a standalone kit, you'll be able to build him as Zagstruck or the War Boss. Is a very real possibility. But so is also just him not existing anymore. Kirk wants to know, will we actually see the foot of Gork in 40k again? I don't know. That'd be cool. McFadden wants to, I mean to say my old war boss becoming a knob because he's on a 40mm. Yeah, if you don't want to rebase him, yes. Yeah. Rebasing. I mean, that was my last video. We talked about rebasing. And, man. Rebasing is a thing. I will fully admit rebasing is a thing. Now, here's the deal. When orcs went from 25s to 32s, I didn't mind. Because I always thought orcs looked stupid on 25s. Their feet hung off the end, and it just looked weedy and weeny and weird. And as soon as you put a boy on a 32, it was like, oh, right? Like everything just made sense in the world. So I didn't mind clipping 120 boys off of their bases and putting them on 32s. Now, we've had a couple of other changes since then. And again, not every base size change has been bigger. There has been multiples that have gone smaller. The ones that go smaller absolutely suck. I hated what they did to heavy weapons teams, and then they ended up killing them off entirely. I am still very, very bitter about that. But there's other things that they've changed base sizes to, especially characters. There's characters that have been like, Space Marines especially, they seem to have like this back and forth between 50, 40, and 32. Like, there's been a couple of characters that have been on all three of those sizes. And again, not in order. It's not like they went 32, 40, 50. It was like 32, 50 back down to 40, or like, 40 to 32, and then like back up to 40. It's been kind of nuts. Are they going to change base sizes again for orcs? Absolutely, I think so. Again, I think mech guns are going to end up on a base. The truck is going to change size, even though it's not a base, but you know what I mean. I think like Weird Boy, Wurboy, all those guys, like they are going to go to different bases, probably all on 40s. Currently, a couple of them are on 32s. I think Pain Boy is on a 32, but Pain Boss is on a 40, and then Weird Boy is on a 40, but Wurboy is on a 32, something like that. It's something like that. I think all that's going to go away. They're just all going to end up on 40s. And then again, I do. I think all knobs are going to be on 40s, even the knob in the boys squad, even the knobs in the specialty squads, and the standalone knobs. Then all your war bosses are going to be on 50s. Am I going to rebase everybody? Not everybody. I've really been looking hard at my orcs because I do have a lot of orcs that have been in my army since 5th edition, since Assault on Blackreach. I have my entire Assault on Blackreach army is still in my army. I have a lot of boys from before that. I still have a lot of 3rd edition and 4th edition boys in my army. The boys I'm okay with, right? All the boys are going to be different sizes. Some of the knobs I'm okay with. The knobs that you build out of the boy's kit, where he still has the boy's stumpy legs and then like the taller knob body, I find myself really not liking them. And if I'm rebasing knobs to 40s, I think those guys are just going to end up being demoted to boys. Because I want my knobs to be chunkier than that. And yeah, like my current war boss, my Assault on Blackreach war boss, I might just leave him on the 40 and have him become a knob. Like, I could take off his twin slugga backpack giant, boss pole thing, put a smaller boss pole on it, and call him a knob. So I definitely think my army is going to go through some growing pains when 11th edition drops, and some of my older kits get demoted down the ranks, or if I don't want to demote them, and I might just move them to the display case, and they become not an active part of my army. So like when they killed off Grot tanks to legends, all my Grot tanks went in there. When they killed off the looted tank, my looted tank went in there. I've got like who's the knob that's out of time? Gorzag Get Stomp. I've got Gorzag Get Stompa. Gorzag Get Stomp is on a 32, and he looks excellent on a 32. And it is a diorama style base. Like he's got his foot up on an ammo crate. I'm not gonna risk clipping that up. So if knobs go to 40, Gorzag Get Stompa is moving into my case. He's just gonna end up becoming a display piece. So yeah, the base size changes are going to affect my army. I'm not joking, I just got done building and converting and painting 20 knobs And I'm sitting there, like, as I paint the last one, realizing these guys are all on 32s. Why am I doing this when I'm convinced they're moving to 40s? But I did it. But I did it. So we'll see what happens. Real CJ says Tau storyline was from Arcs of Omen. It couldn't have been in 5 codices. Yeah, no, okay. The Tau part is, but there's so Boss Nazdrag got betrayed by Gazgul or something like that, and Gazgul stole his something, and Nazdrag took his Space Hulk and left. That story has been in like 5 codices or something like that. The story continued on, like you said, in like Arcs of Omen with the Tau, that now he ended up in Tau space and he's messing with the Tau. But then that's it. It has not evolved from there. They put an orc into Tau space because they like to put something from every army in every other army's spot on the map so that you've always got some sort of actual GW storyline you could be following in your games. So it doesn't matter what 2 armies you're fighting, Necron versus Orcs or whatever, there you will find something in one of the codexes that says that in order to help those battles have realism. But outside of just existing in each other's territory, they do not move those storylines any further. You see that like with Tyranids. Tyranids were the big bad of 10th edition. High Feet Leviathan was this bigger, more scarier thing than the last time they wrote about it. And all it did was fizzle. They just made sure Tyranids existed everywhere in the galaxy to fight everybody. But then that was it. They didn't actually move the lore forward from that. And again, as that lore stales, as new things come out and they drop things off, eventually those characters just disappear from being written about. Rebasing is about as much fun as moving your Citadel paints into dropper bottles, but once you're done with the other task, it's so great. That is a great analogy. Hey, Swift182. Wow, you made it. Glad you made it. Unfortunately, we have been online for almost 2 hours straight now, and we are getting ready to wrap up. All right, I'm going to do a full rundown wrap-up in this last 10 minutes. Maybe we'll cut this out as a clip and then post it as a video on itself for this to make sense. So, here are all of my unhinged ramblings for 11th edition Warhammer 40k with Orcs as the antagonist in the launch box. Okay, ready, go. New Grots are coming. They're going to be separate from the Runt Herd, who is also coming. Along with New Grots, we are going to get Grot tanks, an upgrade sprue for the Killicans, Kill Team style, so that they are updated, as well as maybe a new Grot unit based on the old school Gorka Morka War Buggy that will have multiple options for it, along with a Grot character, which will eventually allow you to run a Grot army. Now, the Grot army will not be in the lunch box, but that's what we're going to get. We are going to have an actual Grot army by the end of 11th edition. Now, other things in the lunchbox. We are getting new War Bikers. They will be monopose because there are no options for War Bikers anyway, outside of the Knob having either a Claw or a Choppa, and they can put both of those in the box, no problem. So, new War Biker squads. Also, potentially in the lunchbox is going to be a War Boss on bike and potentially a Big Mac on bike. If they are not in the lunchbox, they will be a standalone kit where you could build either or out of the same kit, which would be equally as cool. We are also getting a brand new War Boss who is not in the lunchbox. That War Boss is on a 50mm base, and you will be able to build him with multiple options, including a Shock Jump Generator backpack and a Stormboy backpack. So you can have different loadouts, different options, kind of like the Eldar Autarch does, only for Orcs. Also, while we're on the subject of War Bosses, all bosses, period, are moving to a 50mm base, including a brand new Big Mech in Mega Armor. He is not going to be built out of the Mega Knobs kit anymore. Big Mech in Mega Armor is going to be on his own on a 50mm base. Unfortunately, Mega Knobs are not changing. The current Mega Knob kit will still be the current Mega Knob kit. It will still be on 40mm bases. However, all 40mm orcs, can't work. All knobs are moving to 40mm bases, including the knob in the boys squad and the knobs in the commando squad. So every knob in the army is on 40s. All grots are on 25s, all boys are on 32s, all knobs are on 40s, All war bosses and above are on 50s or bigger. That is how the new orc army is going to be. Now, let's see. Other new stuff that we were talking about. There is a rumored new self-propelled land howitzer tank thing that could be the new orc mega gun, big gun thing. Big mech gun that used to exist back in the day. Mech guns themselves are getting replaced, and they're going to be on a base. They're going to be on a round base, like the new Imperial Guard kits. Truck. The truck is getting replaced. Do not build your trucks. Go buy the truck model. It's the cheapest thing you could buy right now anyway, and it comes with a ton of stuff for kit bashing, and throw it in your closet and forget that you own it until 11th edition comes out. Trust me on this. They are definitely replacing the truck, and it is going to change its size. Do we got it yet? Okay. So yeah, truck is changing. So truck is changing. Knobs are changing. War boss is changing. Oh, Pain Boy. Pain Boy is getting replaced with the Pain Boss, who's going to be renamed Pain Boy, or something to that effect. Basically, those two data sheets are getting combined. Those two models are getting combined, and that's going to be that. Same thing with Weird Boy and Wur Boy. Wur Boy isn't going to exist anymore. It's just going to be Weird Boy, but that one is going to be an all brand new model, potentially in the launch box, because the current one is failcast and it sucks. Also, we might be getting a Mad Doc back, and we might also be getting an odd boss. So yeah, like a weird boss, weird boy boss, odd boy boss, something like that, that's on foot that could do other crazy things, but is not necessarily his own warp head. Nerdling still coming out. Thank you, Swift182, for the 2 chats. I super appreciate that. Did we get everything I talked about? Did I forget anything, boys? Let me go through the codex to be sure. What do we got here? That is actually ridiculously hard to do. Okay. Big Ed Boss Bunka might not be a unit anymore. It might just be terrain. Stompa doesn't change. Hunter Rig Kill Rig doesn't change. Gorkanaut Merkanaut doesn't change. When I say it doesn't change, I'm talking about the models. Obviously, all the rules are getting updated. All the rules are changing. Models. Flyers, none of them are changing. Same kit. All the buggies, the current buggies, Boomdax, Snazwagon, Megatrack, Scrapjet, Shock Doom Tracks, the Custom Booster Blaster, Record Truck Squig Buggy, all the models are staying the same. Mech guns will change. This model is no more. If you buy a mech gun model, throw it in your closet and forget that you own it. Mech gun model will change. Guaranteed. Death Copters are staying the same. They're good to go. Killicans. Killicans will change. But what we're getting is the Killican kit is staying the same kit. They're going to make a additional frame, an upgrade sprue, Kill Team style, for the Killican so that you can have all the different weapon loadout options. But that's all that it's going to be. It's just an add-on frame. This is going to be the craziest thing I say all night. We're gonna go this way. Can I get that to say? That upgrade sprue for the Killicans is going to include a Grot character on it, so that you can run a Grot boss in Killican as a character. I'm telling you. Gork and Mork told me. That's the most unhinged thing you're going to hear all night. Let's see. Def Dread. I don't know if Def Dread is changing or not. I don't think so. I think if we get a new walker, it is going to be literally a new walker. Battle Wagon, sticking the same. Truck, we've already been over a bazillion times. It is changing. Truck is dead. War Bikers are changing. Squig Hog Boys are the same. Commandos are the same, except for the knob is now going to be on a 40mm base. Ludas. Ludas and Burnas are going to be all new. Ludas and Burnas are not coming in the launch box, and they are not going to be part of the initial launch. Ludas and Burnas are going to be another Kill Team set. Okay, so it's going to be just like the Rekka crew, where you can make the Breaka Boys or the Tank Bustas and play them in Kill Team. You are going to get a Kill Team that is Ludas and Burnas, and you'll be able to build them in 40k as Ludas and Burnas, which means the size of the squad is probably changing as well. It's going to be like the Rekka crew set. We're going to have like 5 boys and a knob, so 6 total, plus like a Grot and a Squig or something like that is what you're going to get in that kit. So Ludas and Burnas are definitely changing. Defluce and Ashes, Makari and a Killican. Yes. Let's see. Flash kits, not changing. staying exactly the same, including the 40mm bases. Tank Buster is brand new, not changing. Storm Boys. Storm Boys are not getting replaced. The exact same Storm Boy kit is staying. Mega Knobs, unfortunately, not getting replaced. Mega Knobs for sure changing. They're staying the same. They've already done all of their 3D detail work in the games, and they are exactly the current ones. They're not changing. Swifty, join the Discord so you wouldn't miss the stream and still failed. Oh my man, that's okay. We'll get you here one day. One day. And again, I always upload these, so you just give it a few minutes after we're done talking, and then it'll be available to rewatch. You can rewind all the way back to the beginning, fast forward, whatever you want. Knobs. Knobs are definitely changing. We're getting 40mm bases for the knobs. We've already seen their new look in the trailers. Definitely getting new knobs. Gretchen are going to be all new. They're going to be a different size. So there's not going to be 10. There's going to be more Grats. Beast Nagas aren't changing. Boys definitely changing. New boys kits. Boys are splitting back up. We are getting Shoota Boys as their own data sheet and Slugga Boys as their own data sheet again. One of them is going to be monopose and in the launch box. The other one is going to be multipose and come out on its own. But we are getting Slugga Boys and Shoota Boys as two completely different units. All right. Characters. Snickrot stays, Zodgrod stays, Mazrog stays. We already talked about Word Boy, Pain Boss, Pain Boy. Fingers don't work. Beast Boss on Squigosaur says Beast Boss on foot might be leaving. We might be getting a brand new Beast Boss on foot double kit that also builds as the new character in Dawn of War 4. We will see. We will see. Oh, Big Mech with Shock Attack Gun. Oh, I haven't thought about him. Honestly, even though that kit has been redone 3 times already, I think we might be getting a new one. And he's not going to be walking around with it anymore. It's going to be more like an artillery piece or something like that. I don't know. But Big Mech with Shock Attack Gun, that one's changing. That one's changing. You mark my words on that. Regular Mech Boy is going to stay. I don't know if we're going to get a new model for him. Probably. But he's staying. Big Mech, the regular one, stays for sure. Big Mech and Mega Armor is going to be a brand new multi-part kit. In fact, I think what's going to happen is you're going to be able to build the Big Mech and Mega Armor or the War Boss and Mega Armor. It's all going to come in one box with all sorts of different options. It's going to be really, really cool. Diff Killer War Trek, again, is staying, but we are going to add a War Boss and War Bike. War Boss and Mega Armor, like I just said, it's changing. I don't know if they're going to keep making the monopose guy too. He's really cool, but at this point, he's kind of old. He came out in 2018. He's monopose. I think that they're going to do a multi-part Mega Armor War Boss kit. And that's going to be all she wrote for this kit. War Boss, again, we've already talked about. We're getting a brand new War Boss multi-part with everything. And then finally, last but definitely not least, Gazgul. We are getting a new Gazgul. Current Gazgul is not big enough, cool enough, or strong enough in the game to go toe-to-toe with the guys he is supposed to go toe-to-toe with. And frankly, we all already own Gazgul, so he's not selling very well. If they make a new Gazgul, we're all going to go buy the new Gazgul, because that's what we do. So, they're going to make a new Gazgul. Not going to be in the launch box, but will be coming in 11th edition. Those are the summaries of all of my insane ramblings about 11th edition Warhammer 40k Orcs. What do we got? Dale Tonkin, the new artillery thing might be with the Big Mech. I've thought about that. The new... So there's a... What was it called? We talked about it earlier. There's like a Mega Gun or something like that. Oh, what the heck was that called? I can't find it. I can't remember. But yeah, so there used to be a larger mech gun than the mech guns. There was like a super mech gun, super cannon thing that used to be a thing for orcs. It could be that coming back and being self-propelled. So mechanical squig, walker legs, something like that. But yeah, it is an artillery piece. But yeah, I don't... The Big Mech with Shock Attack Gun is its own thing. Shock Attack Gun has been around literally since the beginning. It is one of the OG units of Warhammer 40k. it's not going anywhere, but I do think that we will potentially get a new model for it, because the current model, as cool as it is a little long in the tooth, and it's a little like kind of underwhelming looking, and they can make it kind of way cooler on the tabletop, especially with the advent of Big Mech being so big now. That's what we're looking at. All right. McFadden, prediction. New Boy 11 edition datasheet has generic melee and ranged weapons so their models work for the game. No way GW's losing momentum. Completely 100% disagree. The new Monopose Boys kit. I'm not even sideways hat for this. This is 100% serious, guaranteed. Carve it in stone. The Monopose Boys kit is dead. It is going away. They are done with it. It is never getting made again. It's gone. It's not happening. The reason why we know this is if you read the annual reports and the semi-annual reports the Games Workshop puts out, they don't break down every kit or every product line or everything like that. But they talk about what the struggles to the business are and what the strengths of the business are. And in their struggles, they do mention kits where they have multiple kits for the same product line and how that's confusing for both consumers and retailers alike. And that one of their identifiers on ways to make more money in the next fiscal year is to get rid of every kit like that. What is one of those kits? Orc Boys. They continue to sell the 11-man Orc Boys kit that is still just named Orc Boys, and the Monopose kit with 10 men, which is named Orc Boys. They're the same name, they're different SKUs, they're different kits, but they are the same name, and it confuses people. And because of that, they lose money. Plus, you are stocking 2 entirely different kits everywhere. Okay? Both of those kits are dead. They are not going to keep making the same boys that they've been making since 1999. They're not going to do it. These guys are done and gone. There's a new ecosystem for orcs. These guys are toast. So are the Monopose Boys. So what we're getting is 2 data sheets, because up until either 9th or actually 10th, Slugga Boys and Shooter Boys were 2 completely separate units. They were not the same unit. You could take 6 squads of Shooter Boys and 6 squads of Slugga Boys. You've been able to do that from 2nd edition through at least 8th edition. They are splitting back out. The 2 different kits are going to be called Slugga Boys and Choppa Boys. Now, one of them is going to be monopose, one of them is going to be multipose. I don't know which one is which, but that's the way it's going to be. All right? If I had to pick, I would say the one in the launch box is going to be Shooter Boys, because the dynamic body ways that they're making guns now, you kind of can't mix up the arms too much with those. So those are going to be easier to monopose. And by monopose, you're still going to be able to like swap the heads real easy and stuff like that. So, everyone's going to be shooting. It'll be fine. But I think Shooter Boys are going to be what's in the launch box. And then Slugga Boys is going to come out as a multi-pose kit. And again, the data sheets are going to separate from each other. They're going to undo that migration because nobody liked that migration. Year 2047 asks, track to cannon on a truck. That is a very interesting idea, but no, I don't think we're getting track to cannons back in that way. I don't think we're getting vehicle-mounted things. 40K right now has already got a problem with vehicles and got a problem with weapons that interact with enemy units. So those are going away. Yeah, McFadden, I'm very interested to see what happens. Very, very interested. It's been interesting because as much leaks as Valrat gets, he has honestly gotten very, 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 very little on orcs. And as much as GW has leaked on their own by accident, they've been very tight-lipped. I mean, again, they don't let video games make things that don't exist in real life, but the only things we've actually seen are 2 special characters and knobs. And the knobs, really, you have to be a connoisseur of orcdom to even recognize that the knobs in the trailer do not match the knobs on the tabletop. They very much look similar. They're just clearly bigger, they're more adorned, they've got more of the more modern detailings on them, right? Like we can tell being, embracing this, but to a casual observer, even somebody that's like kind of into 40K, if they don't play orcs, if they don't have current orc knobs, they've got no idea they're looking at new knobs, and they haven't let anything else out. So the def dreads you see are the same def dreads. The battle wagons you see are the same battle wagons. The flyers you see are the same flyers. Like none of that is changing, and that's been really intriguing. They have not managed to actually leak something that big yet. So yeah, that's been cool. Yes, Deflution Ashes is right. If everybody can give me a thumbs up on your way out the door, I would super appreciate it. Every single thing you guys say in the chat, every single like, every single super chat, everything you do, every share, every rewatch, so you go back and watch this replay, throw it on the background, that all feeds the algorithm and tells YouTube that I'm doing a good job, which means they show my smiling gob to more new faces, which means we get more people into 40K and hopefully more people into orcs, and we make this thing grow even bigger and better. So I would super appreciate any and all of that you guys do. Every like, every thumbs up goes a long way. It really does. And if you didn't like it, that's fine. Give me a thumbs down. Even that feeds the algorithm because engagement is engagement. There is no bad engagement in YouTube land. McFasson says, I assume GW won't do something stupid. I never assume that. GW will absolutely do something stupid. The difference is, and this is what people always get lost in, they say that GW makes these like terrible decisions, and they do. They make some pretty bad decisions. But GW knows how to make money, and you make money with fundamentals, okay? Everybody cried about Warhammer Fantasy Battles being literally killed off for Age of Sigmar. But let's be honest, doing that saved the company. GW was this close to legit going out of business. And that kickstart, that complete redo, saved their sales and saved the company, and then allowed them to do Primaris Marines for 40K, which saved 40K. Whether we want to admit it or not, it did. 40K was dying. 6th and 7th edition had the exact same starter box. They didn't even change the starter box. That's how bad 7th edition was. That's how bad a financial shape GW was in. And they made the decision to completely change Space Marines and the scale of Warhammer 40K, and it worked. Now, on top of decisions like that, they make money on scale. There is no profit like in making one-offs and things like that. It is all about regularly shipping products constantly to your retailers. That's it. You want a constant flow of products to retailers. So every product you make that causes a problem in that line becomes a liability. We've seen it with the changes to their paint pots. They've had to standardize paint pots and change sizes on paint pots in order to make shipping on those easier and their display cabinets easier. You've seen it with changes to their boxes and their units. If they can get the unit more squished on that sprue, that's a smaller box. That smaller box takes up less retail space, allowing that retailer to now stock more boxes. These are all fundamental business things. And one of the, again, in their annual report, they talk fundamental business practices that their next item that they are looking at to save costs and to increase profits is to get rid of redundant product lines, to get rid of redundant SKUs, to get rid of redundant boxes where they've got multiple things doing the same thing. And it's not just going to be model kits. I mean, you're going to see that in paints. You're going to see that in hobby supplies. They are narrowing that up to make it a more streamlined thing for both retailers and consumers. So yes, they will do some stupid decisions, for absolutely sure. They will do things. They will have some sculpts come out that we're going to go, what were you thinking? They're going to have some really crappy rules that are half baked. By all means, no company is perfect. GW, far be it from them to be one of them that are perfect, right? But regular old business, They do know how to make a profit. There's a reason why you are reading about Games Workshop in Financial Times and Forbes and things like that, and they're listed on the Great Britain version of the NASDAQ 500. Like, they are one of the 500 biggest companies in the UK. That's crazy pants. They sell plastic models, but they know how to turn a profit. And yes, McFats, that is one of the things. Reduced cost of shipping. You scrunch down your boxes, everything costs less to ship. You can make your master boxes smaller, or you just get more kits per box, thus changing the scale of what your retailer is paying on their shipments. Basic economics, man. I mean, this is business 101. Oh, all right, guys. It is 9:20. I've been going at this for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Again, still battling with old Papa Nurgle. My voice is killing me, so I'm going to call it here. This was a heck of a lot of fun. All these things have been bouncing around my head, and I've thrown some of them out in videos over the last few months, but it was a lot of fun to get them all out in one. And yeah, like I said, maybe I'll take that 10-minute quickie and we'll put that out as a video on its own, or actually just record it new. A little less crazy pants. And maybe a little less sneezy. I think that Nurgly's still caught in there. Anyways, yeah, that was a heck of a lot of fun. It was really awesome talking with everybody. I loved all the input. You guys have some great ideas on your own and brought up some really good points and things. I would love to see your thoughts on what can happen in 11th edition. Come pop over to the Discord and talk about it there, or when this when this video changes into a regular video and you can comment again, you can throw what you're thinking down there. Don't forget the merch store. I got some new things coming this week. You guys have asked for patches. I've got the samples on those. So we are finalizing patches. So those are going to be up very soon. And yeah, we'll just keep going from there. Yeah, I think that'll do it. We'll do another video or two this week and then another live stream next Monday. So yeah, we'll see you a couple more times, but until then, walk on!